Hey, good morning everyone. Happy Sunday. It's May 5th. Prices of BTC currently at 5,723. I drew this bull pennant, as you can see, starting from the bottom right here. And for the most part, we were essentially respecting the top of this pennant, the bottom, multiple times. We did break down through it, but then here's something that interesting that happened right up here. We met the top of the pennant essentially, all right? And then we came down, sort of grinded right under it, and now we're using this bottom trend line as resistance, okay? So something really interesting is happening where, this area might be resistance again, but if you see my drawing that I just made, it looks something like this, okay? And as we know, this is essentially an inverse head and shoulders in the making. Now again, that right shoulder hasn't really been made, but you can see how once prices start coming back up here, right around say 58.20 or so, things are going to get really interesting, and we might see that big final pop that I've been talking about right around 5,900, 6,000, maybe a little bit higher, okay? Keep an eye on that. Let's check the volume profile behind that and see exactly how things are looking. All right. So for the most part, a majority of the region where there is some resistance set is right around here. Okay, at least on the 1 hour time frame. All right, 57.50 or so. This is the area that we need to really grind through. And as you can see on the right, at least on the 1 hour chart, guys, there's really nothing there, okay? But if we start going back on the daily, there might be, some strong resistance coming up. Here's a big high volume node right there. That will probably be a lot of resistance, and you can see a decent one right here too, okay, starting around 59.70 or so. So if we take the range of 59.70 and say, the high of this one right here, which is about 6,800. So that puts us somewhere in the middle right here, okay? That takes us right around 6,350, okay? Which essentially, if you look at it, cuts through this entire, let me show you a little bit more clearly. This cuts through this entire, support that we had way back here in 2018, okay? Multiple times, right? It hits it once, pretty much twice, multiple times right here, multiple times, and multiple times. So the equilibrium of these couple of high volume nodes right here equates to 6,350. Okay, so I'm gonna move this line right around there. Okay, and now let me sort of make that black. Okay, so now we get to focus on that particular line, and also you can see that that fully maps out to the previous drop that we had for this huge fib. Okay, the big fib started way up here. Technically it should be a little bit higher. Let's see, should be starting way up here. Wait, yeah, this is, something is wrong with this thing. It should be like this. Okay, usually get the last green candle before the drop, and you catch it all the way down here, or you can just do the top right there like that. So that takes us about 65.25. We mapped out at 63.50. Right in this range is where I've stated before that we may see a potential top of BTC. Okay, and this is coming not only from the daily time frame, but other time frames as well on the weekly. All right, you can see that the weekly time frame is giving us that same high volume node right around that same area. Bottom of it starts 61.27. Top of it is right around 6,900. Okay, so somewhere 63, 6,400 is where this huge resistance starts forming itself. Okay, all right, let's roll this back a little bit. Okay, so you could see also that on the 1 hour chart, I stated All right, we see this inverse head and shoulders. Volume is dropping off, and usually leading up to the final leg of the pattern, you do want to see the volume dropping off, but where you want to see the volume expanding is where these, whoops, let me sort of make this out a little bit more clearly. This is essentially the neckline, all right? So when volume starts, picking up right here at this point right here and causes a high breakout, that's a validation of the inverse head and shoulders, okay? If volume starts dropping off more and then picks up as the inverse head and shoulders breaks down, this is going to imply that that's the invalidation of it, and more than likely prices are going to start dropping off the bottom of this head, invalidate that inverse head and shoulders completely. All right, we haven't come to either point just yet. We are still forming that right shoulder, so let's see, let's wait and see. All right, with that being said, let's check out Ethereum. Okay, here is Ether. And Ethereum is finally starting to grind its way past this 160 resistance. It's been trying really hard. You can also see something really interesting happening in Ethereum, where I spot this left shoulder right here. Here's a big head coming about, and I bet price is going to meet this, sort of drop down a little bit, potentially create that right shoulder, and then we're going to come maybe somewhere near the bottom of this and then sort of break out, okay? I've stated before that I think this bottom trend line right here needs to be touched one more time for the bulls to just, have a high impact move to the upside, okay? And also breaking past this descending trend line, which also happens to be, the neckline of the inverse head and shoulders that I just drew. Okay, so do keep an eye on that. There's a lot of, alts that I'm keeping an eye on. Ethereum is one of them because I think it's really due for a big breakout. Unfortunately, it's just been trapped in this descending trend line, this 160 resistance area, because BTC has essentially been taking away a lot of energy from alts all throughout this entire run. And so it's been quite interesting to see because it shows the dominance and attraction of BTC over even Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, LTC, or pretty much most alts, right? BCH is one trade that we got into. If you're part of the free lounge, I announced this trade yesterday for myself that I stated we have a potential buy opportunity in this area. We also see something similar, just like on Ethereum. Here's that left shoulder. Forming of the head is still coming about, which could be, the neckline. It needs to meet the neckline somewhere around 330 or so. Potentially a right shoulder coming about over the next week or two, and then a big breakout to the upside, hopefully meeting that target of 390. All right. So I'll keep an eye on that, and I'll keep you guys updated on this. But I'm seeing a lot of inverse head and shoulders patterns come about, and it's kind of great to see. All right, LTC, not so great. It was pulling back just a little bit, did create a lower high. We actually added on to our BCH position, and now that LTC has sort of come back to this demand box that I have, I'll be considering it as a buy too, because BTC is sort of printing multiple positive signals in terms of 1 hour charts looking good, 4 hour charts looking good, daily charts looking good. So hopefully I can take the final leg of that fifth wave to close out my LTC and BCH trades and get out before the market dumps. All right. Again, I'm not saying definitively that it will dump. I'm just stating that the odds are, kind of on your side if you're betting that the resistance is going to hold up. More often than not, it really does. Okay. All right. I think that's pretty much it. I guess you can make the argument that even the daily is showing a inverse head and shoulders. This is kind of interesting. I haven't really quite spotted this, but here's that left shoulder, here's that head, and now we have that potential right shoulder in the making too, which would take maybe another week or so. So let's sort of keep an eye on that, and let's see if that pans out. Okay. I'm gonna check out ADA real quick. It's something that's been, oops. Cardano has really been on my radar. Unfortunately, it's just been sort of dumping off, not really doing that great. It had a perfect opportunity to keep in this higher lows intact right here, as well as this cup and handle. Unfortunately, it couldn't muster up the strength to do that. Now we see it sort of reaching down all the way to potentially the 786 fib. I've stated before, guys, there's a lot of alts that have been in this tricky position over the last couple of weeks. TRX is another one. After TRX had this high, or rather this lower high in January, I mean, it's just been bleeding ever since, guys. Even critical supports on most alts, something like this higher low support, this ascending trendline support, on most alts hasn't been holding up. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't hold up on TRX as well. It might bleed prices down all the way to this low 300 Satoshi level. Okay, so I'm gonna be careful when trading alts. Okay, unless I see significant strength on an alt and I want to catch the middle or the tail end of a finishing impulsive wave. I don't see any reason to catch a falling knife in terms of alts like these. We have no business in being in a position to take some rough trades on alts that are pretty much depleting. Sell side volume is just consistently outweighing the buyer's volume. The buyer's volume has essentially left the market since January. As you can see, the highest volume was marked here. Beyond that, it's just a red sea, right? As you can see. If we turn on the cloud itself too, you can see TRX is well beneath the cloud. The volume profile, I mean, here's where you start seeing some strength in terms of support that TRX may catch. So I'm hoping that, again, it matches up with this ascending trend line, but if it doesn't bounce off here, things are going to get really rough for TRX. So do keep that in mind if you are thinking about catching a falling knife on TRX, guys. Do be careful. Let's go over XRP again, too. Again, I'm going over these because, one, I want to warn you from, making mistakes of trying to think that these alts have bottomed and trying to catch a falling knife. And two, I've been stating TRX, XRP in my analysis, if you're part of the Cryptosomniac Advantage program, for almost a month now. And I've been stating that, avoid it like it's the plague, guys. You don't want to be in the business of trying to catch moonshot candles like this, because you're going to get your hands cut off, okay? What you really want is to see a positive bottom being created, and some nice strength being shown to the upside. And as you can see, XRP is sort of bleeding itself to death too, the same way. Let's sort of turn this on. I want to turn on the pivots as well, just to show you guys that for XRP, we see that it's already broken the daily pivot, okay? It's heading down on its way to the S1 at least for now, which currently is around 4,800. The S2 is right around that final support level that I see for XRP from last September, right around 4,200 Satoshis. I would say, for the most part, XRP is going to bounce somewhere in this region temporarily. But if it doesn't bounce and create a higher high as per this swing or these swings, guys, I think XRP is going to be doomed to come down to even low 2000s, maybe even 1000 levels. Okay, this is people hate to believe that their sort of darling assets can just keep bleeding, and at some point they're going to bounce. Yeah, that very well may be true, but guys, when an asset is in a momentum of a downturn, you have no idea what the bottom is. I mean, the true bottom really is zero. And clearly, XRP has not found zero yet. All right. So do be careful in this market. You know, come join our Advantage program if you're not a part of it. I do daily analysis just like this. Uh, Finally, we will get to the weekly chart and this analysis with a longer term view. As stated, the 6,000 area right here is still posing a lot of resistance. You could see that we have not still escaped beyond this ascending trend line. So, this has been held for 10 years, guys. You could make the argument that 2012 movement right here was kind of similar, where we hit this trend line right here once, came back, retrace, hit it again, retrace with a higher low, and then boom, rocketed off. We may still be actually at that stage where we need to get rejected by this trend line, and as you can see, the confluence of 6,000 and this ascending trend line are almost perfect to meet us in the next week or two. So guys, it's never a surprise when multiple technical factors like the confluence of previous support turned into resistance, huge sort of resistance levels, as well as supplies probably waiting for us, as well as ascending trend line, as well as the reverse fib of the 786 fib right there. Probably some decent high volume nodes in this area if you start looking on exchanges. So technicals work, okay? So if you want to learn how to utilize technicals and use our content in our community for your benefit, come join the Cryptosomniac Advantage program, and I promise you guys, you'll find information in our community, and within a week or two, you can pay off your entire membership for a month or even 6 months, okay? I promise you that. So come join cryptosomniac.com, and I'll talk to y'all soon, all right? Cheers.